So we will need 2 blocks, a bolster, a strap, something to cover your eyes, as usual, like an eye pillow or just an extra piece of clothing, and a chair, or I have a stool that I'm using. A couch will work well too. Um, and then last prop, which is a bit of a strange prop, you may or may not have it, but I'll show you what I have, which is I have a couple of these sandbags. So things that you could use in substitution for the sandbags would be like a cushion or an extra blanket. Okay, so it's just going to be to add a little bit more weight in our postures. And I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, so go ahead and I'll let you guys collect that stuff. So a couple of blocks, a strap, a blanket, a bolster, and a chair or stool, and something to cover your eyes. And then an extra bit of weight. If you don't have a sandbag, no problem. Extra blankets work. There are weighted blankets, which are kind of trendy right now. Similar idea. A bag of rice or beans will do it. Just something that adds, weight like that. That'll work. Yeah. Especially if you put it on top of a blanket, it will work well. All right. So let's while you guys are gathering that stuff, I'll kind of give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to cover today. So where I'm here on Vancouver Island, it's kind of really clearly transitioning from spring to summer. And this transition's happening in the Northern Hemisphere, where we're going from the expansiveness, the popping of the bright greens of spring and the buds and the blossoms to kind of moving more towards summer. It might not be quite summery where you are yet. But what I'd like to look at today, because the last couple of months, we've been looking at a sequence to honor that energy of spring, to honor the wood element and the energy of spring. So today, I'd like to look at the actual transition. So in Chinese medicine, we think of this as like a 5th season or a transitional season, that there's something that allows us to go from one season to the next. And so oftentimes we're, during transitions, they're kind of like the seams in our clothing, transitions coming, going, starting something new, ending something else, ending work, starting the weekend, it's just, like there's transitions are always around us. And it's really interesting to make space for transition, to honor transitions. So that's what the earth element in Chinese medicine is all about. So it's all about the transitional, the kind of liminal space between things. Okay. And the organs that are associated with that are the digestive organs, the spleen and the stomach. And so we're going to do a practice today that is supporting transitions, supporting the liminal space, supporting the fact that we are unfolding, we are becoming, we're constantly shifting and morphing and changing into the next thing. Even this feels a little bit like things are shifting a bit with, as some restrictions might be talked about being lifted. There's maybe this sense as we move towards summer that we will get opportunity to be outdoors more, and just to kind of feel that shift, to feel something moving. So spring is all about kind of like the energy of explosion and like that kind of dormancy of winter turning into the kind of movement of the the rise of expansive energy. And now we're kind of heading towards the peak of that expansion and looking at the transition. Okay, so we'll do a practice starting with some energy work, some subtle work. We'll include some breath work, and then we'll have lots of time to feel spacious in our restorative postures. Okay, so let's start standing. So again, some sort of eye cover, 2 blocks, a blanket, bolster, a chair, a lot of stuff today. And then some sort of weight. It could be an extra blanket, or I have a couple sandbags if you have some sort of weight, and that's going to help us to feel more of that earth quality. Okay, so let's start standing. Separate your feet about hip distance apart. A soft bend to your knees, and feel the ground beneath your feet. So as you breathe in, we're going to gather. So gather with the hands up any feelings of scatteredness or anxiety or tension or muddledness or confusion. And then as you breathe out, just clear all of that out. Any feelings of overwhelm or anxiety. And then as you breathe in, we're going to gather up the sense of being centered and present and grounded. So breathe in this feeling of groundedness, focus, and presence, and fill that into your body. And one more time, we're fill. So breathing in, gathering up that strong presence and focus and the feeling of equanimity of being here now, and fill that into your body. Grounded presence coming into this space, into your practice space. And then rest your hands on your lower belly, on your physical center of gravity, and feeling that ground beneath your hands, your physical center of mass. And let's set an aspiration, an intention for our practice. So whatever that is for you, something that you're hoping to gather from this space of nourishment and self-cultivation, self-care. Nice. Okay, and then let all that go. And if your eyes are closed, open them up. You're going to shift your weight onto one side. And so I'm shifting my weight onto my right side, and we're going to circle the opposite ankle. So just bringing some gentle movements into our joints, circling the ankle, full range through the ankle, and then switching directions. Good, and then we'll shift the weight, transfer the weight into the other side, and circle the ankle. The slow, mindful movements, and other way. Feeling your contact with the ground, and then shift your weight back to the center and walk your feet together so that you can put your thumbs and your fingers on either side of your knees. Okay, so the tiger's mouth, this webbing between your index finger and thumbs, goes at the top of the knees. We're going to squeeze the knees together, and then we'll make circles with our knees. And switching the circle. Nice, coming back up, placing the hands on the hips, separate the hips again, or the feet again, and we'll circle our hips, just moving up through all our major joints. And switching directions. Nice. Okay, good. And from here, we'll swing our arms, gently swing, and little love taps to your side body. You're keeping your knees slightly bent, pointing them straight ahead, and the front of your hips are closing. So there's a nice rotation from your spine all the way up to your head. Good. And then let that go. Arm swings for health. Put your right hand on your left collarbone, and then we're going to make big circles through our left shoulder. So just got to stabilize the collarbone. It's warming up the joints, okay, and switching directions. So we could think of the joint clearing as also energy clearing. So these are areas where energy tends to accumulate, concentrate through the major joints of the body. Okay, switching sides. So stabilize your right collarbone, circle. Good, and then switching directions. Nice. Okay, and then finish up that circle, and then we'll drop the chin down towards the chest. We'll move the head to the side. You can just switch all the way to the other side, or as you go back, keeping the teeth lightly closed so that you're not compressing the base of your skull. Okay, so either a full circle or a semicircle. If the full circle causes compression in your neck, you can try with the jaw or the teeth lightly closed. Sometimes that brings a bit more length to the base of the skull, or just work side to side in the semicircle, switching directions. Good, finish this circle. Nice. Okay, come back to center, and then we'll shake. Okay, so as you shake, feel all your joints now. Your ankles up to your knees, your hips, your shoulders up to the top of the head, and just clearing out any residual stale chi from the body. So think of this as a clearing practice. Okay, last few seconds here. It's fully shaking, or it could be little shakes. Just feeling like you're clearing the nervous system. Okay, nice. And then just let that go. Come to stillness or emptiness stance. And we're going to move into a Qigong form specifically for the earth element. Okay, so let's bring the feet together. And with the feet together, okay, we're going to inhale and step to the left. As we step to the left, we offer the hands out to the side. So this has a few steps to it. If it's easier to watch the first time through, go ahead and watch the first time through. As you exhale, you'll circle your arms over to the right, okay? And then as you inhale, the front hand is going to make a circle towards the earth. And as you exhale, you bring your feet together and your hands by your side. So now we step to the right. We inhale. We exhale, we circle around. As you circle around, your front hand is offering up like a tray towards the sky. As you inhale, we reach the front hand in a big circle. And as you exhale, bring your feet back together. So now again, step to the left. In, breathing out, circling around. Breathing in, we reach in a circle towards the earth. Breathing out, we come back to center. So keep going with this. Qigong for the earth element. Okay, so the earth element is connected with our digestive system. It's all about transformation and transitions. So smoothness in transitions and transformation. So try to focus, even if you're not getting the form perfectly, try to focus on creating this kind of smooth connection with your breath and the movement, almost like you're moving through water. So when earth is in balance, we feel a sense of equanimity. We feel supported, centered, and focused. When it's out of balance, sometimes we can feel overwhelmed, like we've got too much going on. There's a sense of worry, anxiety, indigestion, like we're processing too much. So the last few times working with this form, this circular form for the earth element, cultivating smoothness in your transitions, linking your breath to your movements. Last time here. Moving around with this circular form. And when you finish, come back to center. Separate your feet once again and just feel your center. Feel the quality of balance between the front and the back, between the right and the left. So in yoga, we call this mountain pose, but you can also imagine yourself like a tree, rooted in the earth. The waist is like the ground or the soil line from below the waist. The roots extend down. And then we have the trunk of the tree rising up to the top of the head through the branches. So feel yourself in the center, front, back, side, side. Okay, really good. And then if your eyes are closed, open your eyes. We're going to make our way to the floor for the next cycle. So we're going to sit in a kneeling position. So I'll have a block or 2 or 3 underneath my hips so that it's easy to sit in a kneeling posture. The kneeling posture is going to start to elongate the meridians that associate with the stomach and the digestive system, which start at the tops of the feet and run up the shins and the tops of the thighs. Okay, so if that's feeling like a lot, as you stretch those tissues, you can always elevate yourself, sit up a little taller, okay, or a little higher, I should say. Okay. So from here, we'll do one more energy practice in sitting. And this one is to collect or draw our senses, our 5 senses back to our center. So it's called centering the senses. So place your hands beside your ears, your hands in the slightly cup shape, like you were cupping water in your hands. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to gather up our senses, sense of hearing and touch and taste and smell and sight as you bring your hands to your midline. Breathing in here. And then as you breathe out, we're drawing the energy of our senses, our 5 main senses, into what's sometimes called the master sense, the heart space. Okay, right in the center of the chest. So do that again. Take your hands beside your ears, breathing in, and then gather up all the senses. Any feelings of distraction, confusion, muddledness in our senses come together in a centered point in the midline. Breathing in, the hands come together. Breathing out and gather and pull and anchor those senses down into your heart. One more time, hands beside the ears. Breathing in, gathering, breathing out. So imagine that all your senses are like helium balloons that want to fly away and get distracted and expand. So we're anchoring them. Breathe in, hands together. And then breathe out and anchor those senses down into your heart. So your nervous system, including your five senses, is always listening, always listening. We have many pathways, afferent pathways between the brain and the heart. So the heart is kind of like the master sense, and it's giving feedback. So the body's always listening to the heart. So let's cultivate that listening, that deeper listening. Good. And then we'll go deeper even from there. We're going to bring the hands to the belly and we'll make circles on the abdomen. So it's beginning to massage the abdominal space. As you massage, you can move in, I like to move in the clockwise direction. So up the right, across the left, down the left, and across the bottom. So that's the way it feels natural for me, but you can try the other way as well. Do the way that feels most soothing for you. Okay, so it's a soothing action of softening the belly. If you imagine like if you had a belt on, that you want to loosen that belt. So we tend to create a lot of contraction in our abdominal muscles. We suck in. So here, as you soften, as you relax those muscles, let your breath go a little deeper down into your belly. So we're cultivating this sense of generosity, like a Buddha belly, a softness, a happy belly. Last couple times here, bringing some energy into our digestive system, the movement of the digestive system. Okay, good. And then last one, just let your arms rest on your thighs. Feel the softness in your belly, the centering of your senses. And from here, we'll move to a short breathing practice. Okay, so if you find the breath triggering to work with the breath, just breathe normally and focus on the connection that you feel to the ground. If you want to try this technique, it's a technique that's sometimes called box breathing or 4-4-4 breathing. Okay, so you're going to breathe in fully, hold, and then breathe out fully and hold. So we're working with all four stages of the breath. So we'll inhale for 4 seconds. 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4. 2, 3, 4. And hold for 4. 2, 3, 4. Let's keep going. In for 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4. 2, 3, 4. And hold for 4. 2, 3, 4. So we'll keep going like this. In for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And hold for 4. And keep going now. Inhale. It's an equal hold. An exhale. And an equal hold. So you can play with the duration. If you want to extend it a bit more, if it feels already too long, you can make it shorter. I want you to keep going with that pattern on your own time and focus on the smooth transition between the in breath, the holds, the outgoing breath, and the holds. So there might be a tendency at first with the box breath to make it kind of choppy, like staccato. But can you make it smooth so you are connecting, you're linking each of the four parts smoothly. Last couple rounds at your own pace, creating this smoothness like you're polishing the breath. Each phase. Good. When you finish the last exhale, hold. We'll completely let it go. So just let go of that structure. So we use that breath structure to create a container that we can just rest in, like water in a cup. Okay, if your eyes are closed, open your eyes and just gently twist your torso one way, looking over your shoulder, creating this just gentle ringing action through your core and your abdominal region, all the way up to the top of your head. You're on the fingertips of the backhand or up on a block if you need a bit more support to stretch up, especially with your inhale, sitting up a little taller. And with the exhales, we're gently wringing out the spine and the torso and the digestive organs. Good. And then release and switching the other way. Just a gentle ringing twist. Leaning back a bit into your back hand, which is pushing down into the floor or a block. And that's allowing you to rise up with your inhales and twist a little bit more on your exhales. Very good. Okay, from here, unwind. And then we're going to shift our weight forward onto all fours. And from all fours, we'll place either a block or blocks underneath or between the hands so we can rest the forehead down on the blocks. Okay, so my arms are extended. So I'm reaching out through my fingers, pressing the hands into the floor. My hip creases are moving back, and my forehead, the bridge of the nose, all the way through to the top of the hairline, is softening onto the block or pillows or some height, some support. Okay, so you can stay with this version. This is kind of like a puppy dog version of downward dog. Okay, putting some weight into the forehead, softening the bridge of the nose. Or if you like, you can extend your legs, reaching back and up through your hips for the last minute here, and working with the inverted V. So either puppy dog with your knees on the ground, stretching your hips back, head supported, or straightening your legs. And if you're straightening your legs, keep the contact of your forehead, keep your neck long, and keep reaching back through your hips so that you're in this shape. You're supporting your digestion by taking gravity, using gravity to support the organs below the diaphragm. Okay, so normally these organs kind of sit at the bottom of the pelvis or sit in the pelvis. And so here we're letting there be a little bit more lightness and openness as we invert. Okay, and then from here, we're going to release the knees down if you went up. And we're going to do one more inversion, but this time I'm going to step one leg forward so that I can straighten both the legs in a kind of pyramid shape, and I can fold forward. Now, as I fold forward, I want my head supported by something. So we have our chair or our blocks that we can build some height in order to rest on.
Okay, and similar to the last shape, here we're letting gravity support our digestive systems by flipping or turning these systems, these organ systems, upside down, and relieving that kind of tendency of gravity to be kind of down bearing or cloying downwards. The knees can have a soft bend to them, so there's some ease and balance between the feet. And energetically, as we open the legs like this, we're opening up the spleen meridian, which is the yin organ of the earth and digestive system. It runs up the big toe line of the feet, through the inner calves, inner knees, inner thighs, up through the groins into the digestive organs. So opening up that line, last few moments here. Good. Okay, from here, we'll come up part way, just halfway, so you can make your spine vertical. Bend your knees, and then using your hands, we're going to come out the same way we came in. So we're dropping the back knee, turning the front knee forward, and then we can step back and make our way back onto the floor. From once you're on all fours, you can sit off to the side and get ready for the next shape. So for the next shape, we're going to need a bolster, something to cover your eyes, and possibly a strap. Okay, so I'm going to place the bolster on the middle of my mat horizontally. Then I'll sit in front of the bolster or just on top of the bolster, but towards the front. Then once I have myself positioned on the bolster with my strap and my eye cover close by, I'm going to walk my hands back so I can come to my elbows and my shoulders, and then finally to the top of the head or the back of the head. So center yourself on the cushion. So by sitting more towards the front when we started, you should be in the middle of the cushion, the highest part of the cushion now. Okay. So we're going to start with a meridian stretch for our stomach meridian. Okay. So this will help us as we go deeper into the longer hold. So we're going to bend the right knee in towards the chest. So that will help to kind of curl the pelvis up towards the sky. Hold on to that right knee. And then the other leg, the left leg, is going to extend along the floor. Okay, so as we extend that lower leg, we're opening up from the top of the foot, up the shin, the quadriceps, the front of the hip flexors. That whole line is connected with the stomach meridian, all the way up into your belly and your ribs and the side of your chest, all the way up through the side of the neck to the forehead. Okay, so energetically opening up, expanding organic energy through that line. Just a short hold here to feel that meridian stretch. Good. And then we'll slowly release by coming out the same way we came in. Bend your left knee, put your right foot back on the floor. Just pause for a moment and feel the difference between the two halves of your pelvis, right side, left side. And then when you're ready, bend your left knee in, hugging your left knee in. We're going to extend the right leg. So the purpose of bending the left knee is to create this tuck in your pelvis. So feel that tucking action on the height of the cushion where your tailbone is rising up towards the ceiling, and then the reaching of your lower leg, your right leg, that's like a counter lever that opens that stomach meridian. So you're reaching and pointing through your toes, your right toes, and feeling the length from your toes up through your shin, your thigh, your hip flexor, up through your belly, your ribs, your chest, throat, and all the way up into the forehead on the right side. So sending some nice organic energy through that line. You visualize it getting longer. Nice. Okay. And then slowly come out. Same way you came in. So we're bending right knee, put left foot back on the floor. And again, feel the balance like two scales, right side, left side on the cushion. And now from here, you can either just let gravity do the work, okay, and stay like this. Or I find for me, I like a strap around my legs because if I just let everything relax, the legs tend to fall outward. So a strap around the legs, around the thighs, is just to create this boundary, like a bit of containment. So you thread your feet through the loop of the strap if you're using the strap. And then it's not tight, it's just enough that the legs can fall out into that boundary. Once you've positioned, if you're using the strap, you can take your eye cover, place it over your eyes. We're setting up for our first longer hold here. The bridge. So in the bridge, just beginning to feel the weight of your outer elbows resting and dropping towards the floor. As your outer elbows get heavier, the palms and the thumb sides of the hands also fall closer to the floor, so that the back of the hand, the knuckle of the middle finger, can rest on the floor. As the backs of the hands and the middle finger knuckle rests more freely on the ground, feel the widening across the collarbones and the chest, the shoulders, the release of the throat and the face, and the jaw. And as you settle in a bit more into the posture, I like to share a poem with you. So this one's from Mary Oliver. It's called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clear blue air are heading home. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Final moments here in the posture. Softening the belly and letting the shape, that gentle inversion, again, support the digestive system. It's that slight inversion to gravity that is supporting the system. The tendency of the downward pull of gravity now that we're nourishing those inner organs. You'll notice that the softer your belly gets, the more that the abdomen is able to rest back and up towards the diaphragm. Okay, really good. From here, before we lift the hips, we're going to find our feet. And with the contact of the feet on the ground, let's squeeze the muscles that we would use to lift our hips without lifting. So we squeeze the glutes and the hamstrings, and then we relax again. And we squeeze again, press the feet, squeeze as if you were lifting, and then relax. And then squeeze those muscles that you use to lift, and this time actually lift. And as you lift, you can either just push the bolster towards your feet or slide it off out to the side, or even just wiggle your shoulders back a little bit so you're able to rest your hips back down on the floor. And then just feel any sensations in the base of your spine. Contraction, expansion, tingling, numbness, coldness, heat, energy of any kind in the base of the spine, just resting there for a moment. Good. So from here, let's roll to either side. And we'll use our hands to come back into a seated position. This time we'll start on all fours and we're gonna sit on our heels, okay? So a couple options here for the child's pose. We can take the bolster between the legs and you might bring some height underneath the bolster with blocks to take the floor to you so that it's easy to rest the belly, the chest, and the face on the cushion. If you have the blocks underneath, there's a bit of space there where you can hug the bolster. So you're creating this kind of contained feeling into the belly. If it's not comfortable to sit on your knees this way or to sit on your heels this way, the way we modify it is to roll up a blanket and place that blanket directly under the center of the bolster without blocks. So I've got this kind of shape. Okay, so my blanket rolled up in the middle of the bolster, my bolster on top vertically like a seesaw. Okay, and then I'm gonna lie on my stomach with my legs straight. Okay, so I'm creating this nice C curve in my spine. Okay, just like the child's pose with the knees bent. And if you want to support, if depending on the length of your spine, you might support your forehead with another blanket or with your hands. Okay, so either way, we've got this nice feeling of hugging the front body. Okay, with bent knees or with straight legs, there's some pressure. If that pressure is not soothing for you, then you can always push the bolster forward so that your abdomen has room to rest behind the bolster. Okay, so if the pressure is soothing, stay with it. But if it's not soothing, if it feels like it's creating compression and it's uncomfortable, have a bit of room for your abdomen to rest between the cushion and the floor, so that just your chest and your head is supported. Softening the hips, the limbs, the arms, the hands, the face. For the second half of the pose, if you'd like to turn your head to the other side, it will help to balance the energy of your neck. Okay, so we're, again, just dropping the hips, creating that nice internalization, that concentration of the energy. Balasana is the pose of the child. That soothing, nurturing quality. As we draw our senses inwards to our inner world. Last few moments of rest here. Drawing sensation inwards might heighten what we call interoception, the feeling of being regulated from the inside. So you might be more aware of your breathing. You might even feel your heartbeat and all the different rhythms that regulate your system. Nice. Okay, so that your head is the last thing to come up. We're using the hands and curling up one vertebrae at a time. And then once we're all the way up, we're going to sit off to the side. So our knees are pointing off to the side and we're on the outside of our hip. Okay. So if you had blocks or blankets underneath your cushion, just take those out because it will make it too high for this next posture. So we just want the cushion vertically aligned on the mat and the knees bent off to the side. We have the hands on either side of the cushion, straddling the cushion. We inhale up through the ground, and then we'll exhale as we rest belly, chest, and the side of the face on the cushion. We're looking in the direction of our knees. Okay, so one way that you might like to add a bit more support is to take one of your blankets, folded blankets, and just tuck that between your knees. That's especially useful if you feel like you're putting stress on the back of your sacrum as you twist. Okay, so you can try that. The palms can face downwards in this pose, or you could have the front hand, the hand that's closest to the knees, palm down, and the back hand, the hand that's furthest from the knees, palm up beside your hip. Okay, so effectively, it would look like this if you were looking like bird's eye view. So front hand, palm down, back hand beside your hip, palm facing up. So a couple options that you can try for your arm position. But what we're after here is to let the work of gravity happen and let the work of gravity ease into the twist so that we're not pushing the floor away with our arms, but instead we're letting the arms just be there in place so that gravity can start to act on the sides of your spine and deepen your your twist organically. As you settle into the twist, which is a ringing twist for your digestive system, I'd like to share another poem with you just to inspire your rest. This poem is by the great Sufi poet Rumi, and it's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Final moments here, just settling, softening into the twist. Let gravity do the work. And we'll slide our hands underneath our shoulders so that vertebrae by vertebrae, the head, the last thing to come up, coming all the way up. And then we'll turn to the other side. So you can either shift the bolster over to the other side or just turn your body, keeping the bolster as it is. Hands on either side of the cushion, breathing in from the ground, breathing out, rest the belly, the chest, and the side of your face looking towards your knees, palms facing down. And the back hand, you have the option of turning it to face up beside your pelvis. If you want to put some padding between your knees, that can be a nice option. Pad up between the knees, especially if there's any stress in the back of the pelvis. Nice. That looks good, guys. So letting the arms, even if they're like subtly pushing the floor away, let the arms widen enough that you can really feel gravity supporting their ringing quality. Softening the face and the jaw, the tongue. Really feeling how the twists are so supportive for that quality of transition, right? It's sort of moving the body through, moving our digestion through. And when we think about digestion, everything we experience needs to be digested. Thoughts, emotions, interactions, good, bad, neutral, all needs to be digested. So you're making space now for that process. Metabolizing your experience. So often we just go from thing to thing, from experience to experience, without taking the time to honor the transition, the end of one thing, the beginning of something new, like the end of the exhale, making space for the beginning of the inhale. Good. So now placing the hands on either side of, or underneath the shoulders, I should say, on either side of the cushion, pushing the floor away as you roll vertebrae by vertebrae up to sitting. And then we'll turn the legs in front. We'll extend the legs out and we're going to widen the legs. So with the legs extended, I'll just show you this way. Out to the side, we're going to open up once again through the spleen meridian, through the inner line of the legs. Okay. So you have the option here of sitting up on something, the edge of a blanket. And that can be useful, especially if there's stiffness in the hips that makes it hard to roll the pelvis forward. Okay. So as we begin to roll forward, maybe the chair or the bolster or a couple of blocks can be used to rest the forehead on. Okay. And alternatively, if you find that as you try to bend forward, you feel quite stiff in your hips, you can do this exact position that we're doing here, sitting, lying on your back with the legs up the wall. Okay, so that would look like this. So I have the wall close by. So I just turn onto my back and I open the legs up. So that's another way to just find space through this inner line. So either way, we're going to stay for a bit of time where we're elongating that organic energy through the big toe line, inner calf, inner thigh, all the way up through the groins, into the belly, into the digestive system. And then whichever position you're doing, try to relax your forehead, especially if you're bending forward onto some surface. But if you're on your back, also just feel the forehead soften and widen as you rest. Unclenching the jaw, relax the face, the corners of the eyes, the mouth, the nose. And then our final moments here. See how much you can soften. If there's any even subtle ways that you're bracing against the position.
Good. So very slowly, the head is the last thing to come up. We'll lean back enough that we can hold the backs of the knees, gently support the bending of the knees so you can bring the legs back in. And then finally, we'll use our chair or whatever height you're using, like a couch or that support, for our next position. So you're going to need your blanket, your strap, and whatever you're using for that extra weight. Maybe an extra blanket, or I have these sandbags. Okay. Whatever you're using for that extra weight. So the way that we'll set this up is we're going to sit sideways closest to our chair or our couch. And then as you lie back, you're going to bring your calves onto the seat of the couch or the chair. Okay. So here I am. And depending on the height of your chair, you want your knees in front of your hips. So that might mean that you need a little bit of support, like a bolster or even a folded blanket underneath your hips. Okay, so I want my knees in front of my hips. I don't want my knees on top of my hips because that's going to create too much crowding towards us. So I want this feeling that the knees are in front of the hips. That may or may not require some height underneath your hips. So it depends on length of your legs relative to your chair. And then I'm going to take my strap. This is optional, but I like to have the strap on the legs. Once again, the legs fall out into the strap, so I don't have to hold the legs in position. And then I'm going to use whatever that little extra weight is. So maybe it's an extra blanket or that little bit of weight. And for this one, I'm going to place that weight right at the tops of the thighs or the lowest part of the belly. But it's possible to put the weight even on your shins or on your closer to your thighs or on your shoulders or even on your forehead or on your hands. So what we're looking for is a little more exaggeration of the earth element, of the quality of gravity, so we can really settle in that way that the weight will provide. So whether it's an extra blanket or an extra pillow or just some feeling of some extra weight, either on the tops of the thighs, the lower belly, the hands, the forehead, go ahead and set that up. And then we're going to finally just place the eye cover on the eyes. And taking the first 3, maybe even 5 minutes in the posture to settle. So there's always that superficial intensity, the surface energy in the body that we become aware of when we try to settle. And you're not necessarily trying to change that, you're just letting the body find its ground. And while you're settling these next few minutes, I'm just going to share another poem with you, just to support that settling process. And this one is by the poet David White. It's called Everything is Waiting for You. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone,
as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely, even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you freedom. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. As you settle even deeper, feel the earth supporting you, the ground supporting you. And from that ground, making space and allowing whatever is metabolizing, whatever is digesting in you, making space for it. The Zen teacher Suzuki Roshi says, give your sheep lots of pasture. So whatever is there, whatever is digesting in your experience, give it lots of space, lots of room. So there's this quality of generosity and spaciousness.
And slowly guiding your attention back to your senses, the sounds in the room, the air and the clothing and the feeling of the weight on your body, any sort of ambient light coming in through the eyes, the feeling of the breath getting deeper. And then start with little movements, fingers, toes, wrists, ankles. And when you feel ready, you can remove the weight or the extra earth quality off the body. And then let your knees bend in a bit closer to you. If you're using the strap, you can take that off your legs. We'll roll either onto either side. And just pause on your side for a moment. You pause on your side, it's another opportunity to honor a transition, something we might just normally rush through. And on your side is taking this opportunity to rest again, to feel that nourishing quality as you settle. Good. And then when you're ready, we're going to use our hands to bring ourselves back up through to sitting. And you can sit in a comfortable position of any kind. It could be on some height, like a chair or the floor or a cushion, just something that allows you to easily feel the length of your spine. And just to check in here to how your body's letting you know that you feel more rested. So maybe it's in your breathing or in the feeling of connection to the ground, the earth. Or maybe it's in your facial muscles around your jaw. So just checking in with the body. And then we'll close our practice together with our hands back at our heart space, taking a deep bow as we honor each other in this mutual space of practice, our teachers, past, present, and future, and ourselves. So remember to honor ourselves, including our parents, our ancestors, and all the way back to the source. Nice.